showed them what I wrote on that inventory. You know, it was nothing to make up. It was my life. You know, who I was angry at, what I was scared to death of. And of course, that other part, you know. I think about that sometimes, you know. I think about where the change doesn't happen here or down there. It happens right here. You know, but the head's always going to be sick, you know, in a way. And you know how we are down there. But the change comes right here. 18 inches below. You know, I tell some people, one guy asked me, hey, you know where he is? It's right here. Yeah. But we did step 5, and I felt so awful at that point all of a sudden. Just so ashamed to see what I had become on paper, to see all I heard, to see all these things that were eating me up. I just felt so awful and so low again, you know. And that brought about a humility. Yeah. Mark asked me, are you entirely ready to give up on all this stuff? And I said, you bet your ass I am. That's how simple it is. Yeah. I got on my knees and I approached my Creator in a humble way. You know, what I'm understanding at that point, I felt Him. I know He's real. Yeah. And then I already got step 8, right? It's on the list. You made your list. You transferred the names. And for some reason, I'm thinking, I got to go, hey, I'm willing to go to any lengths. It's life or death for me, right? Even if I got to approach somebody I don't want to, I've got to do it. Yeah. And so, golly, last thing I want to do is bounce around. But so I'm thinking, go call mom and dad. You know, get the easy ones out of the way and stuff like that. Yeah. And I run into this guy just right after that. You know, and I've had sponsees go start their menses, and the same thing happened to him. You know, I had a guy I sponsored named Gabe, you know, one of the first guys I sponsored sitting in it. I was telling him about this great experience I had on the 9th step, and you don't want to miss out on that. Trust me, you know. He's sitting in a football game and looks over, and here's somebody that he had fought with years ago, and went over and shook hands with him and got that same experience, you know. So I run into this, I'm thinking mom, dad, and I run into this guy on my list, and it was somebody that I worked with years ago, had ratted me out for drinking on the job, you know. And I swore I was going to get that guy. You know, I resented him. You know, they tried to fire me over it, and I said, well, he's lying, you know. And they couldn't prove nothing. And really, really badmouthed this guy and said a lot of horrible things to him. But the bottom line is, you know, that book says we must show our willingness to face the people we had deep resentment towards, you know. And so when I run into him and I just walk up to him and I put my hand out, and my life changed, just like that. Yeah. I've studied a lot of the old Oxford stuff, and that part of the program was conversion, you know, change. And so just like that book said, right then and there, I knew a new freedom and a new happiness. Yeah. And I was amazed, you know, you will be amazed before you get halfway through. Yeah. And boy, I had something right then and there, you know. Probably one of the greatest times of my life, you know. Trying to hang on to it. Yeah. But I like to encourage people, man, get out there and make those amends. Yeah. I don't even think it's got anything to do with me or the other person. Something to do with him. Yeah. And so my life changed dramatically right then and there, and I went out clearing up. And I hadn't seen the kids in 5 years. Yeah, here's my son did it right here today. And we got me a paralegal, and I went back to court. And I'm talking to the same mediators that threw me out and escorted me out of court one time. And it was like they changed too. You know? This guy used to be this guy, he's not around no more, but he would tell me, God's going to soften their heart too. Watch. You know? And they believed me, you know, and set up supervised visits. And I'd just be an example towards them and every other weekend. And now they live with me. You know? And we got a great life. And that's probably, you know, being Father's Day tomorrow. You know, alcoholics got good hearts. You know, deep down inside we mean well, but we're sick. You know, I can remember just wanting to be a good dad so bad. You know, and got an opportunity to do that now. And so, and my oldest boy who's not here, he graduated Thursday, and I got to be a part of that. A lot of amazing things happened to me. Started sponsoring guys right away. Something like that happens to you, you can't wait to tell somebody. You know? I started sponsoring guys right away, and definitely learned a lot from that. Yeah. I'm losing my train of thought, man. I talked too much in the beginning now. One of the greatest amends I ever made was I ran over a guy one time and didn't kill him, hurt us, tore some ligaments in his leg, and so I went and found him and made that amends, you know. But I walked up to him and I said, I don't know what I said, you know, but then he told me a story. He said that night, he went to the emergency room, you know, got the surgery and the stitches and all that. And then after that, he had to start physical therapy, you know. So this is going on, and I'm drinking somewhere else by now, you know. But he had to start physical therapy. And then he met his wife, soon-to-be wife, you know, at the physical therapy. You know, he's going through this and then meets a girl. They got married, and now they have a son together. Yeah. And he's telling me all this. Yeah. He thanked me for running him over. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And if I wouldn't have had the balls to face him, if I wouldn't have went through with this to face him, I never would have known that. You know? A lot of amazing things have happened to me. I found myself accepting things that were so out of reach, you know. Last thing I want to do is start preaching, but I think we, you know, maybe you guys are, I'm sure you guys have a great group here, but there's some areas that are hurting. Yeah. I think we can all do better. Yeah. I know I'd like to get this message out to people. Sometimes we're involved in outside issues and we're talking about everything under the sun, and then the guy who really needs it doesn't get it. Yeah, that's our job. But I guess that's where my passion comes from, you know, having been through all of that. I'm going to tell you guys something before I close out. I thought I knew something about this program, you know, and I mean, I really did. You know, I figured I got restored to sanity, my life's great, I'm happy, joyous, and free. And then at the beginning of the school year, my son's practicing football twice a day, and I'm driving him practice twice a day, and I'm holding down my job. You know, I'm a single parent. I'm holding down my job, and I got a new boss, and just school clothes, and it's this, and it's bills, and it's just man, I just got real restless and irritable, discontent, and I'm mad at everybody at the meeting. Yeah. And so my son, I get home from work and it's late and I just want to go to bed. My son says, Dad, I got to have a physical by morning or the coach is going to not let me play. You know, and that just, the straw on the camel's back, you know. And it's like, son of a gun. So we hauled ass out to Patients First out there and got him a physical. And by the time we got out of there, it's like 9 o'clock at night. You know, it's too late to go home and make dinner. So I said, well, let's stop in at Me and Ed's and get a pizza. Yeah. And I'm real restless, irritable, and discontent. I'm not even talking to my son. And I get in there, and as soon as we open the door, there's a guy there with a gal, and they're sharing a pitcher of beer. Yeah. The water's coming down off the side. That obsessive just kicked right in there. After all I'd done, after all I'd worked the steps, after I got half a dozen guys I'm sponsoring, commitments in mind, you know, and just like that, I want to drink. Yeah. And I really, really thought I was going to get drunk. Yeah. And I'm thinking, where's my book? Where's my paper? Where's my phone? You know, who can I call? Do I got to do an inventory? You know, I'm thinking all this stuff's just going through my head. Yeah. And Eric's like, Dad, you gonna order? And I'm just in la land. And so I go to the back where the bathroom is, and I walk in and I start splashing cold water on my face. You know, I could see the whole thing. I mean, I thought I was gonna get drunk. You know, that's just deep, man. I don't know what you want to call it, but just insides were coming unglued. And I had no defense. Yeah. And it's just like our book says, at certain times we will have no defense. Yeah. And so I splash cold water in my face, and I get out in the bathroom. And I come back through where everybody's sitting, and I see everybody's beers. You know. Obsessed with drinking at that point. Yeah. And just like that, something come over me. I felt this great power come over me and took it. And God restored me to sanity right there. Yeah. And I thanked God right there and there. I know exactly how Bill Wilson felt when he was in that Mayflower Hotel that morning, when God restored him to sanity. Yeah. And it dawned on me on the way home that God could and would if he were sought. Yeah. This is the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's the greatest gift ever. But the greatest gift is to be able to give that away. You know. Something happened to me when I was like about 2 years into this thing. And I caught a glimpse of it just like that. It was the greatest thing. Yeah. And I would go to some of these older members and I'd say, hey, you know, did you see this, you know? I remember I went up to one guy, you know, and I said, man, you know, you ain't gonna believe it. I just had this vision of, you know. He looked at me like one of them dogs, you know, when the dog was But it wasn't until I finally got back into the 12 and 12. You know, I actually had a resentment against that book at one time. You know, I'm hurting to death, and the guy says, go get a 12 and 12, that's the answer, you know, and I'm looking for the answer. Threw that thing across the yard. So I'm back into 12 and 12, and I'm studying, and in that 11th step part, it talks about those guys catching a glimpse of the kingdom, meaning God's kingdom. Yeah. This is the greatest fellowship in the world, folks. It's the fellowship of the redeemed. That's all I got. God bless you.